Now, I mention the younger men because it is significant. In Scotland, 25% of your total male deaths occur between the age of 15 and 64. These are working age men. A quarter of all your deaths occur in working age men. So that means a family that's lost a father. It means a workforce that's lost a worker. It means a society that's lost a key part of it. 6,847 deaths, 14% of female deaths occur in this time. A significant difference between the burden of death. Cancer accounts for only 27%, a quarter of those deaths, and it accounts for 41% of the female deaths. But don't forget, there are less causes of death for women in those early years. But when you see the total number, you see more men are dying. When you look at the sex-specific data, you can see what I was saying before. There's only 70 of those deaths, 1%, that is sex-specific. The rest of them are cancers that should affect men and women equally. Female cancers, the genital organs, 4.5%, breast cancer, 8.5%. So there are a significant proportion of those deaths that women are experiencing are sex-specific. But it's not the same for men. So let's break it down. Let's see why. Now, this is a series of graphs. Here we have cancer of the esophagus, and in the blue, these are the total number of male deaths, and the purple is the number of female deaths. So cancer of the esophagus, you can see that for men, there's about 2-3 times as many men dying of cancer of the esophagus. This is cancer of the liver. You see over twice as many men dying of cancer of the liver. You see here cancer of the colon. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. This is cancer of the stomach. More men are dying. This is cancer of the pancreas. More men are dying. Cancer of the brain cancer. At every age, more men are dying. Cancer of the lung, more men are dying. Cancer of the bladder, more men are dying. Malignant melanoma, skin cancer, more men are dying. That's intriguing because that is one of the few cancers where more women develop it, but more men die of it. This is cancer of the kidney. This is non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Did you know that? It's very interesting when I show that data, how few people know that nearly every cancer that should affect men and women equally, they don't. Men dying at a greater number. This data stimulated the National Cancer Intelligence Network and Cancer Research UK to work with me to look at the ratio of male to female cancer mortality for a report that came out last June. Everything above a 1 means more men are dying. And when you see here for all cancers, you see about 40%, generally 40% more men are dying of cancer. In the middle age, 15 to 64, it's about the same number. And about 57–60% in total for over 65s. But when you take out the breast and sex-specific, you find that men are actually dying of, there's a 70% higher rate of death for men for the rest of the cancers. And you can see here how it changes dramatically for different cancers, but the general pattern is all the same. Now, it's not just the case of men are perhaps developing the cancer at the same time as women and ending up in hospital later because they've prevaricated. The incidence rate is also higher. And overall, when you take out the sex-specific, you've got 60% higher rate of death, a higher rate of developing cancer in men. Look at this, to bladder, 3.5 times more men developing it, 3 times more men developing esophageal cancer. When you come to Scotland, you see a similar pattern. This is for lung cancer. And you see Scotland having higher rates of incidence and mortality than the rest of the country, the rest of the 4 nations. This is colorectal cancer, on par with Northern Ireland, but you can still see the differences. This is the cancer of the esophagus. And this is cancer of the stomach. So Scotland stands out as having a problem. And Scotland had the highest overall mortality rates for both males and females, 17% higher rate for men than the rest of the UK, 16% higher rate for women than the rest of the UK. Lung cancer, 34% higher for males, 49% higher for females. Incidence of mortality of all the other smoking-related cancers was higher. Incidence of prostate cancer, ironically, was 14% lower. But you have to get old to develop it. So that's a statistic you can't be proud of. Mortality from cancer in lung cancer was... This was... you'll forget everything I say today. Most people do. You'll be surprised. Not many people invite me to parties. You'll be... They say, oh, yes, we'll invite Alan. He can scare the living daylights out of us. Oh, it's great fun. Oh, what do you do for a living? Oh, I look at mortality data. It's great. But you might remember the Auriga decomposition of changes in life expectancy. I had no idea what it meant, but the graph looked good. And what it means is they break down and try and identify what causes the change in life expectancy. And why is it that we're living longer? When this was looked at for Europe, they found that, for men and for women, they found that the majority of the increased life expectancy for women that women are experiencing occurred over the age of 80. It was the later part of the life. And for men, we still had some success earlier on, but it was around the 59, 60. But the majority of the increased life expectancy men have been enjoying has been because of cardiovascular disease, improvements in cardiovascular disease. 60% in the United Kingdom of success in improving our life expectancy has been because of cardiovascular disease improvements, not from cancer. The other 40% is for everything else. So if we go into the causes of cancer, now we sort of looked at some of the pictures, the figures, what causes cancer? And I think this is where we have to start to think of ourselves in terms of equality, in terms of health, in terms of getting messages out, that there's something perhaps we can do about it. It's not a given. Because you'll have seen from the graph I showed before that there are differences between countries, marked differences. If it was a biological fact, then actually everything would be the same. But because you've got differences, it means that actually we can learn from different countries, and we can adapt and we can change, and we can bring it up, we can improve it.